As you know, I was born in Scotland. I came to this country when I was 20, but before I came here, I was born on a small island off the west coast of Scotland called the Isle of Arran. And the reason I was born there was because it was during the war. And the town that my parents lived in was evacuated during the war because the Germans were bombing it. And the people who could get out to safety left. So my mom went to this island off the west coast of Scotland, and that's where I was born. And I lived there for like maybe 3 years. And then when I came back to live in Greenock, was basically the town that I grew up in. We used to go back to Arran every summer for a holiday. And the only way to get there was to take a long boat ride on a steamer, what you call it. And it zigzagged across the River Clyde back and forth until it hit all the different little resorts. And then you got to Arran, you had to get on a bus. And it was either up over the mountain to the other side or around the island to the other side. And then once we got to the place where we lived, it was a little town called Shiskin. And that was where I lived until I came back to Greenock. And when I came back to Greenock, my two other sisters were born. One was named Margaret and one was named Fiona. They still live there. The only thing I remember about when I was little was from a lot of pictures that my parents showed me, a lot of bomb damage, a lot of buildings destroyed. They bombed our town constantly because it was a shipbuilding town, because they wanted to bomb the shipyard, because they were building warships. There was German submarines out on the water patrolling all the time because it was right on the Atlantic Ocean. Yeah. And there was something in the sky, I remember. They used to fly, we call them barrage balloons. I don't know what they were. I know what they were, but that was the name I called them. And it was like huge, big, almost looked like a blimp that would hang in the sky, a lot of them, over our town, so that the airplanes couldn't fly in low. If it flew in low, they'd hit them and snag them. And but after the war, like I said, we lived in Greenock. I went to school there. We started school at 9 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It was just a regular public school. At that time, there was either Protestants or Catholics, because that was the problem we had then. We still have it now. So basically, the Protestants went to public school and the Catholics went to Catholic school. And had a very good friend who lived the next building to me, and she was Catholic, and I wasn't allowed to play with her because she was Catholic. Yeah, that's the way things were then. It was like when you came to this country, you had the blacks and the whites. No, we had the religious thing over there, right? Now it's gotten better though. But I said I grew up in Greenock. I went to primary school until I was 12. And then I went to high school from 13, 14, and 15. I finished school when I was 15, because that's what you did then. Find a job. And I went to secretarial school. I went to night school. And then I came to this country because my dad had an aunt who lived in California. And she used to come back for visits. And always wanted to come to America. So I saw an ad in the paper advertising for mother's helpers. Now they call them au pairs, mother's helpers, and you picked a family, you wrote to them, and then if the family liked you, they would pay for you to come to this country.
No, it was yesterday, bit.
And I came here, I stayed with one family for a year as a mother's helper. I watched 5 children. And then after that I found another job through a Scottish friend. It was called an upstairs maid at that time, where I took care of the upstairs part of this house. It was a huge big estate. The cook took care of the downstairs part. We had a lady who came in and did the heavy cleaning. We had butlers, we had chauffeurs, we had Anything you want. I just, the upstairs part of the house is what I did.
And was this in California?
It was in Glen Cove.
Oh, in Glen Cove,
Yeah.
right here in New York.
I came right to Glen Cove. It was actually in Brookville, which was a fancy part of Glen Cove. And I used to hang out. All the Scottish and English girls got every Thursday off and every other Sunday off. So on a Thursday, we'd all meet in Glen Cove for breakfast. We'd go to the bowling alley. We'd spend the day bowling. And then we'd hang out at a place at night called Molly and Me, which was, it was like a bar, but it was the bottom part of our house, and the people who owned the bar were English. And they always took care of the Scottish and English girls so the American guys wouldn't take advantage of them. They were really, really nice. So we all hung out there, and it was just drinking soda. There's a huge piano there. You could sing songs, play on the piano, dance in the back. And it was fun. That was where I met my husband. And we got married, and the result was the 3 kids.
3 lovely children. What's your birthday? Were you born in 1942?
Born in 1941.
41. What's your birthday?
7/7.
You're kidding. That was my brother's birthday.
Really?
Yes, only he was born in 1943, so you were
7/7/41.
Exactly 2 years older than my brother.
Yeah.
Wow.
But
and when's your anniversary? When were you married?
I was married. Jeez, isn't that terrible?
Don't feel bad. I've forgotten all of mine too.
I can't remember. I think it was. I've been with the school district for 30 years, and when I was hired, you didn't have to have any certification or anything. You just, as long as you did your job and took care of the kids and helped the teacher, that was it. And then when they had this new law come into effect, No Child Left Behind, through our dear President Bush, all the teachers had to be certified, or the teachers' aides had to be certified, which I think is dumb, because we don't do any more than we did, and we had to go to college and get credits for something we've been doing. It was good enough for 30 years, now all of a sudden I have to go get credits to do the job I was doing for 30 years.
But you're certified now.
I have 2 credits, and supposedly that was enough, because if you work for the school district for a certain amount of time, you're allowed to be grandfathered in, as they would say, and you could only you could get in with just 6 credits, but anyone coming in, I think, has to have like 16 or 18 credits, which is a lot.
And you walk to work every day.
Yeah, I do.
That's the life.
I live about 15 minutes, depending on how fast I walk, that depends on how long it takes me to get there. And about 10-15 minutes away, I walk. I start my work at 8:30. If the weather's nice at lunchtime, I walk at lunchtime.
Oh, that's great. Well, that means that you're probably going to be around to see all of your great-grandchildren grow up.
I walk home again.
Yeah.
On Saturdays, I walk from where I live down to the post office to pick up the mail. That's like half an hour one way and half an hour back again.
That's great. I wish we could get young people out walking these days.
But this is something we always did in Scotland, though, because it's where I lived in Scotland. It was a town, but 3 miles out. It was all countryside and hills, and that they call it hill walking. People just get out and walk, and it's not. People have access to anywhere in the countryside. Like over here, there's big signs posted: trespassing, do not enter the property. You can cross the property. You can go in as long as you close the gates behind you. You can walk through.
Yeah.
And they call it hill walking. They just take off and walk.
Through the heather?
Yeah, through the hills. You
Yeah.
spend the whole day. I used to belong to a youth group at this church, and we used to take off on a Saturday, weather permitting, with bikes and just go, we call it the back way, all the way down the back way, down about 3 or 4 towns down the coast, and then come back up the coastway. And it would take us a whole day to do it, or we'd take off and just walk the hills, going the other way, 2 or 3 towns up, and then take the bus back.
And people were so much healthier then.
It was just, nobody thought about it. It was just something that everybody did.
That's right. That's right.
But here, you tell them you walk, they say, you walk?
Yeah, no, I get the same thing because I walk to work too.
Yeah, I love to walk.
Yeah.
And it gets me going in the morning. It gets me out, gets me dressed, gets me there, and I feel healthier for it.
Keeps you mentally sharp too.